I'm Prasad from Structural Guide. You are welcome to the Structural Guide YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss about type of pile foundations. What are the pile foundations? What is pile foundation? What are the different type of pile foundations used in the constructions? All those relevant to the pile foundation will be discussed today. Please subscribe our YouTube channel. You may get the notification on new videos. And also please like our videos. Let's start discussing about pile foundations. What is a pile foundations? It is a type of foundation constructed deep into the ground and is mostly circular in nature. Mostly piles are rest on the hard rock or hard soil layer. Sometimes the piles are socketed into the rock. Now, in construction, depending on the nature of the pile, this will be varied. Cast-in-situ board piles are mostly socketed into the rock, but driven piles mostly are rest on the hard soil layer. In some countries, the soil or the rock layer is very deep. So in such a situation, we cannot socket the piles. In these cases, both piles also rested on the hard soil layer. The friction is the governing factor that provides the lateral load resistance, or the foundation capacity is gained from the friction. With that, we'll see what are the main type of piles. Board pile, cast in situ piles. This is kind of a reinforced concrete pile we meet most of the time in the construction. Driven piles. As the name implies, they are driven by a machine. So we can put the weight on the pile and let it go into the soil. Or manually with the vibration, you can fix a vibrator there. So with that, we can drive the pile. Micropiles. As the name implies, they are smaller pile. They may be a reinforced concrete, they may be steel pile. Sheet piles. Mostly we use as a shoring material or it's used as a permanent structure in construction. Sheet piles are used for this construction. Timber pile. Especially in old structures, we can see the timber piles driven into the ground. These are kind of a driven pile type. Screw piles. You can see here screw pile. They are like a micropile. When this load is smaller, we can use those for the construction. Let's discuss each type of pile in detail. Cast-in-situ board piles. Most common type of for the pile foundation we can experience in the construction. Rested on the rock or hard soil layers. Skin friction and the end bearing provide the geotechnical capacity. Reinforcement together with the concrete. Reinforced concrete pile provide the structural capacity. So they are constructed in different manner when compared to the other piles. Drilling to the specified design, that is based on the diameter of the design and base as specified in the design, drilling will be done. That may be into the hard soil layer if the rock is very deep, and if that is not the case, if you can find the rock, we will do the socketing in the rock. In generally, as a norm, minimum socketing length is about one diameter of the pipe. We use special machine to do the pile excavation. Once you done the excavation, you are about to do the cleaning. So in the excavation, we use the bentonite material like bentonite to maintain the excavation as it is. Otherwise, the excavation or loose soil will collapse into the pile excavation. Therefore, the material like bentonite having higher density is used in pile construction to avoid the excavation collapse. Once you do the excavation, we will need to do the cleaning. So sometimes even though you use the bentonite, this soil around the loose soil will collapse. So to remove those soil, we do the clean. And also we want to note that now if the topsoil layer is very weak, we may use steel casings to avoid the collapse. Depending on the depth of the very weak soil layer that may not be prevented collapsing by the bentonite, we use the steel casing. So steel casing, depending on that height, we'll put the height. We decide the height of the casing. So with that, once you completed the excavation, you do the cleaning. This is also called the flushing. Until you remove all the mud and loose loose particle in the pile at the bottom, you clean the pile. This is also called the flushing. It will take hours and hours until you remove the or until you satisfy with the condition of the cleaning. You will continue the cleaning. So there are some tests to make sure this cleaning is adequate. After you do the cleaning, you put the reinforcement cage into the pile excavation. The required cover will be maintained by the cover blocks fixed around the reinforcement cage. Mostly these piles are circular in nature. Once you insert the reinforcement cage, you put the trim inside to the pile and you do the concrete. That's the construction process of the driven pile. Cast-in-situ pile, sorry. Driven piles. When the load is comparatively small when compared to the cast-in-situ boards pile, we use the driven pile for the construction. Small scale construction, we mostly use driven piles when you can't construct the building on shallow foundations. This is very economical when compared to the driven pile and board when compared to the board piles. Applying load on the pile or vibration is used to drive the pile. Different types of driven piles are there. Sheet piles, precast concrete piles, timber piles, composite piles. So if we discuss further about steel pile, there are five main categories I have listed here under steel piles. Micro piles that we have discussed previously, also a smaller scale pile, but that is made from the steel. You may use the machine to drive these piles. H pile, that's also I think you can see in the previous figure also steel edge sections to driven into the hard soil layer. Steel box sections also same as the I pile, H pile, you drive into the pile. Screw files you can see here in this figure also. They use small scale construction. You drive into the hard soil layer by a machine like this. Steel rail pile. Those also reconstructed used in the construction. You can see here this is the precast concrete piles. These are most common type of the reinforced concrete pile used in the construction. Micro piles. This also used when the applied load is comparatively low. When foundations cannot be placed as a shallow foundations, we use micro piles. These are used small scale buildings, 2-story, maybe 3-story buildings use micro piles. This micropile even we can use to construct in 5-story building. In those micropile will be bit larger but smaller than cast-in-situ board piles. Micropiles initially may be a reinforced steel casing put into the hard soil layer and do the concreting. But if you need to enhance the capacity, the steel casing diameter can be increased. And then the concrete volume increases with that capacity increases. In addition, you may put the reinforcement cage inside this steel casing also to enhance its capacity. That also can be done. In concrete micropiles, They construct same as the cast-in-situ board files. The only difference is the diameter is small when compared to the cast-in-situ board file. Generally, the diameter less than 500 millimeter could be considered as a microfiles. Sheet piles. This is most common in construction. We use sheet pile to cover the construct the cofferdams, shorings, or more importantly, it is used as a permanent structure in some cases, especially when there are very weak ground conditions. When you build a structure and also when you need to control the movement of the ground, we use the permanent sheet piles. So we keep the permanent sheet pile around the structure, then there won't be a movement in the soil, especially when there are soil like peat or compressible soils that could move with the application of the load or with the vibration induced due to the superstructure loads. We fix the feed sheet piles around the structure that make the confinement in the soil area. With that, we enter to the discussion on pile foundations, type of pile foundations. We today discuss about different type of pile foundation. So we'll meet meet from another video. Thank you very much.